Hey there, colleague. How are you doing? Pop-Up Debate 7 has happened, and we have crossed the threshold. Students have now seen themselves giving a pop-up debate speech on video. And so in this video, I want to explain to you what Pop-Up Debate 7 looked like, and then more importantly, how I facilitated the video-based part of it. So as you know from previous Pop-Up Debate videos, I've been telling my students for a few weeks now that we will be videotaping a pop-up debate and watching ourselves on our own computers, watching our individual speeches, so that we can see how we're doing with PV Legs. So yesterday, my students came in and they had this as a prompt, and they were answering this prompt from knowledge that they had gained from reading some textbook excerpts, watching an instructional video, and reading 4 primary source documents, each from an Enlightenment philosopher. And you'll notice in the prompt that I had them write 2 different answers. The reason for that is I told them that if the pop-up debate became lopsided and one person was getting all the attention in the argument, I would outlaw that person, and then they would need to use their second choice. Be ready in case I outlaw a philosopher. If there's a super lopsided emphasis on like Voltaire or Smith or something, I will say that one's outlawed, and then you have to pick your second choice. So a theme all the way through my pop-up debates is that we basically never do impromptu, ill-considered answers. I always have my students begin by writing in response to the prompt. Okay, so then I took my smartphone and I put it on a tripod, and while they were giving their pop-up debate, I was just filming. Now, as you would expect, this did increase the nerve-wrackingness of the pop-up debate. My students had been getting comfortable with pop-up debates, but just having the presence of the camera, I noticed for one class particularly, they were really fast to finish the pop-up debate. It was like 10 minutes long, and I could notice how nervous they were. It was definitely a camera thing. So once the pop-up debate was done, I turned the camera off and we moved into the rest of our lesson. Then after class, during my lunch break, I uploaded the videos from my phone onto my computer, and I put the videos in a Google Drive folder that they could access the following day. So today in class was our time to access those videos and find ourselves in the debate and assess ourselves. So when we got to the part of the lesson where I wanted them to access the video, there was a link on our daily slide for them to access the video for their hour. I told them to get out their PV Legs notes, and for each of the elements of PV Legs to give themselves a score 0 to 5 based on their assessment of how they did. As you would expect, when kids were on their own computers looking at themselves, finding themselves, there was lots of laughing, lots of groans and grimaces, lots of oh my gosh. And while they were doing this, I was walking around and I was looking at what they were writing down for their self-assessment, and I was listening to student conversations, and I was affirming where students were using PV Legs very specifically. Oh, I was fidgeting a lot with my hair or whatever, that's a poise issue. And then the most important thing was after this was done, their computers are shut, their PV Legs self-assessment's out, and I asked them, what did you notice? These were some things that they noticed. So one student says, I noticed that I'm kind of boring to listen to. That's an amazing insight. I asked my students, who felt like you were a little bit boring to listen to? And here, most of the hands in the class went up, and I said, exactly. None of you are boring. I don't find any of you boring, but it's important for you to realize that your speaking can be boring, and we're trying to solve that with life and gestures. Another student noticed that she spoke too fast. I said to the class, exactly. Remember, speed in PV Legs is all about speaking not too slow and not too fast, using our speed on purpose. Other students noticed that it was hard to hear themselves through the camera mic, and I said that's a voice issue. I asked students, what fidgeting behaviors did you notice? And someone said picking at their hands, someone said playing with their hair, someone said playing with their necklace, and I asked the class, why, where does that come from? I guarantee that when you stand up and you're playing with a necklace, you're not thinking, oh, I'm gonna play with my necklace while I speak. So I said to the students, why does that happen? And they said, well, that's our nervous energy working its way out. Exactly. So I'm super excited about what I saw. I'm going to include in this video some of the clips of me teaching so that you can just see some of that, some of the points that I called out in the pop-up debate. But the most important thing for you to understand for this point in this school year's pop-up debates is that we've crossed the videotaping threshold. And now I'll do that every time, and I'll ask them to watch themselves so that they can see how they're doing. And my prediction based on previous years is this is going to markedly increase the quality of student speech happening in class. All right. I'll let you see some teaching excerpts. Thanks a lot, colleague. Take care. For Pop-Up Debate 7, we're discussing the Enlightenment philosophers that we've been studying the last couple days, and we are adding the wrinkle of video. This video will be used as follows. After class is over, I will upload it to a Google Drive folder, private to just our class. You will find yourself in the debate. You will analyze your speech for PV Legs. and then I will remove the video from the Google Drive folder. It is just to give you the best feedback a speaker can get, the feedback of actual tape. Your focus skill today is, yes, the PV legs element that you've selected, but also to try to pretend that the camera's not there. This will take some getting used to for some of you. That's part of why I've waited until Pop-Up Debate 7 to do this, because it just adds another layer that can start to distract you and make you feel more nervous. You will get used to it. In the spirit of pretending the camera's not there, please don't look at it. Don't look at it. Don't act like it's there. So like if you're in the front of the class, your job is to make eye contact with the class, not the camera. What I've got on here is a boom mic, so it is pretty good at catching sound. But like folks in the back, you want to make sure that you're speaking for the whole class to hear. If the whole class can hear you, this can hear you. If the whole class can't hear you, this can't. Any questions before we start? Begin! So I want to point out a moment where I feel like the energy shifted up for a bit. And it shifted up because this person specifically clashed with ideas that had been brought up. And she brought a strong dash of life, too. I'm talking about the girl who's holding up a sign that says Evermore right now. All right? TV. Not sure what the sign means. But when Taylor stood up, she basically said, okay, some of you have been saying the government's a big deal, but what about these women who work in the government, such as women on the Supreme Court? That's really specific evidence and reasoning against the idea that Locke's important because he's influenced our government today. It's like actually dealing with what someone else has said and trying to dismantle it. That's where I want us to get more and more to. Where we say, all right, not just I agree with Dino or I disagree with Lincoln, but Lincoln specifically said John Locke is, a big deal because he created our government, or Adam Smith is a big deal because he created our economy. Yeah, but women work in that economy, and if it weren't for Wollstonecraft and people like her, they wouldn't be doing that. So the economy would be trash because you'd be missing 50% of your population. So that's my play of the day, Taylor, because you specifically clashed with ideas. And I did see others of you do that. I saw a lot of great attempts at life from you guys. In general, you can let second hour know. Y'all didn't seem as skirt, okay? Second hour was skirt, all right? They were straight, skirty, skirty, skirt. And I'm saying that because that's what Hannah does all the time, all right? She's very weird. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, well done. Tomorrow, we'll look at those on Google Drive. Get a fresh page in Spiral because there's a few key concepts from last night don't want us to miss.